Hello and welcome to another episode of Diplomatic License right here on City TV. My name is Apioko. Now, every single episode of Diplomatic License is a special one, but today's is especially special because I get to speak to a seasoned author, a writer, indeed one of the presidents of one of the associations that I belong to, the Pan-African Writers Association, Dr. Wale Okeridan, and we're talking about something special, which makes the episode special. We're talking about his book, which was published in 2009, Tenants of the House. And now it's been turned into a movie, and guess what? It's on Netflix. Extremely big deal. And we covered the launch of it, and we're delving into the conversation about how we got here and how this may be a game changer, if it's not already, for African film, for African writers, and indeed for African literature. Once again, you're welcome to Diplomatic License on City TV. And when we return, we get into all the nitty-gritty of everything that I just described. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Diplomatic License right here on City TV. And if you just joined us, indeed, you missed my fabulous intro where I spoke about my guest for today very briefly. But it's fine. We haven't started talking yet, so you're not too late. It is my singular honor and pleasure to welcome to Diplomatic License today Dr. Wale Okeridan. He is an author, he's a writer, and he's the president of the Pan-African Writers Association, or is it General Secretary? He's a General Secretary General, yes. We've got President, we've got Secretary General, we've got lots of different titles in the world of writers. So he's a Secretary General of the Pan-African Writers Association. Doc, please come join me. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Oh, we're matching.
Yeah.
I wore it because of the Nigeria blood, the green. But Doc, let's talk about your latest feat. You are a seasoned writer. Indeed, Tenants of the House is what we're focusing on today, but it's not your only piece of work. In Ghana and beyond, even though you're a Nigerian, we've celebrated your work, we've spoken about it. It's in some of the schools that we even go to. You find some of your work there, your books there. But Tenants of the House, it was published in 2009.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes.
At the time, did you ever see it becoming a movie, let alone a movie that will be on Netflix, the world's greatest streaming platform for films?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, my motive for writing Tenants of the House was just to put into print some of my experience as a member of the parliament in Nigeria for 2004 to 2009, and some of the things that I thought the public would like to know about democracy, good governance, and some of the things that go into political campaigns. And then, of course, the bad part of it, like corruption and all those intrigues. I wanted to write a story.
Politics.
Yeah, politics. Yes. I wanted to write a story for Africans so that they can see what some of their elected officials go through when doing campaign and while in office. So that was just what I wanted to do. And then I wanted to also people to enjoy themselves.
So that was the aim. You were really just, and I mean, Doc, let's take a walk. I mean,
Yes.
It's no coincidence that we're actually at the Parliament of Ghana, on the grounds of Parliament of Ghana, because, of course, like you just mentioned, you are a former parliamentarian
Yes.
of the federal state of Nigeria, but also Tenants of the House very much centers on parliamentary affairs.
Yes.
Particularly the greenhouse.
Yes.
In Nigeria, you have the red house, which is
green.
Senate, and you have the green.
Yes.
So you are in the greenhouse,
Exactly.
and another reason why we are wearing green.
Great.
But let's just talk about, I think it's very bold of you, and I always say that writers have to be very bold and courageous people, because if you are going to speak the truth, you are going to inform people, and even when you are going to entertain, you need to dig deep and write things sometimes that people may not be happy about. things that people may not want the public to know about. But you wrote this book just not so many years. Some people wait a decade, 20 years after they've left Parliament, but not so, just less than 5 years after you left the greenhouse in Nigeria. And you wrote this book that spoke about the positives, but also very much the negatives of Parliament. How long did it take you to put the work together? Is this something you started writing before you even left the house?
No, I started writing after I left the house.
Okay.
While in Parliament, I kept notes. I kept a lot of jottings.
And the writer that you are.
Yes.
Everything is content.
Content, yeah, you're right. And then, of course, I did some research because I had to go into some backgrounds.
Yes.
Some cultural backgrounds.
Of course.
So I would say, all in all, it took about 2 years to complete the work.
Okay, so let's talk about those cultural backgrounds. When you read, and of course, when subsequently now you watch Tenants of the House, of course, we are talking about Parliament and the things that go on there. Yeah. And indeed, the Nigerian Parliament in the story is a microcosm for African parliaments because we experience a lot of the same things here in Ghana, for example. But you also talk very much about the clashes between the Fulani and the Hausas, which is also a problem that we experience even in Ghana and other parts of West Africa. And you just mentioned that you had to do some research on cultural backgrounds. Are those some of the things you had to learn? And what did you find?
Yes, because in the story I pictured the main character as an idealistic member of parliament who wanted to solve some national problems. Yeah, and this is the problem of the clash between the Fulani Katuriaras and the other pastoralists, the farmers. So in doing that, in order to capture, realistically capture that aspect, I needed to go and study the culture of the Fulanis, the culture of the Hausas. I had to stay with the Fulanis in their village for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that I could.
So you literally became a Fulani in the bush for 2 weeks.
To adequately capture their culture and everything. So that was what I did.
Doc, when you were writing, were you at any point afraid of what the outcome would be? Because here you're writing about difficult political situations. And which we've already said, some people may not want to come into the public light. You're also writing about very sensitive cultural issues. This clash that we see between the Fulanis and the Hausas is not today, as we say in Africa.
No, it's not.
It didn't start today.
Yes, you're right.
These are things that have been with us for years, decades. And indeed, even in the 19th century, when the Fulanis, we say we credit them with reintroducing Islam into West Africa. You know, all clashes started from then. When we were not even born. So were you afraid at any point that some of the things that you were writing, even though it was the truth, would come back to haunt you?
Well, you know, as a writer, you have that, we call it license, the artistic license to open the Pandora box, so to say, areas where people don't want to go into. And for me, it won't be my first time of writing about delicate issues. I've written about issues of international smuggling before and child abuse and all those stuff. So, and I just thought that, well, I haven't gone through that system. It will be, I will not be doing the right thing if I don't really say this. And I just thought, well, I should do what is right. And then whatever happens after that, I can always, and that is why I made it into I call it faction. A mixture of fact
and fiction. Faction. I like that.
Because originally I wanted to do something about facts, but I knew I would have
serious problems. That's why you put it in fiction or faction. You're a little safer.
So that one now.
That one you didn't mention anybody's name.
No. Even though some characters can identify themselves.
Of course.
In the story.
Of course. So now, when the book came out, Tenants of the House came out in 2009, what was the reception like in Nigeria and then subsequently? Because I mean, I didn't discover the book in Nigeria. I've been to Nigeria before, yes, but I didn't discover the book in Nigeria. I discovered it while I was here in Ghana, and again, I encountered it in the US. So, what was the reception like at home and abroad subsequently?
Yes, among the populace, it was electric, so to say, because for them, that would be the first time an insider, that is a former MP, would come out boldly and let the whole world know what was happening, even though in a fictional way. But for some MPs, it was like a betrayal.
Of course.
They saw me as somebody who, in fact, some of them were joking and say, oh, look, this fellow was planted among us.
To go.
He's not a politician.
The spy.
He was just has to spy on us. But some of them took it as a joke, and they were even at the premiere of the film, some of them came and said, oh yes, we are the real tenants of the house. Yes, we are the real tenants. I mean, so I can say it was electric because I also went on a national reading tour. I read in about...
That's back home in Nigeria.
About 20 states of Nigeria. And then even in the US, the Air Afrique, the airline, wanted to open the American... no, I'm talking of Air... is it Afrique? What was the name of this airline? Afrique, yes.
Afrique,
yes.
Yeah.
They wanted to open the US market. So they sponsored me to go on a 20-state reading tour.
So they flew you around?
Yes, of the US.
So that explains why it's also very popular there.
Exactly. So I also went around the US to do a reading tour. So I can say that it was well received. But at the same time, I took some knocks here and there from my friends who are politicians, and then some die-hard romantics,
of course,
who are not happy that, oh, why should that fellow be flogged and not able to marry the Fulani girl at the end of the day. Say, oh, you must be a sadistic fellow, that kind of thing. So I can say it was well received.
Well, you cannot please everybody.
Exactly.
You cannot please everybody. But let's talk about from the cultural angle. At least now we have indeed the Muhammadu Buhari is a Fulani himself.
Yes, he is.
You know, and now even you come home to Ghana, our vice president, who is also Muhammadu Buhari, is a Muslim. So we do have these days a lot of high-flying Fulanis, high-flying Hausas, high-flying Muslims occupying big spaces in Africa within our politics and so on. Culturally, did people feel like they were properly represented?
Yes.
They did?
Yes, they did. Yes. Because whatever you say, people have different backgrounds, they have different cultures, and someone has to speak for them.
Of course.
And they found these people to be good enough to speak for them.
Of course. Wonderful. So now let's come to how we got to movie stage.
Okay.
I mean, I think that in the last maybe 50 years or so, it may be more, it may be less, but give or take 50 years, a lot of writers have yearned to see their work end up on the big screen in films. Not because having it in a book is not good enough, but there are always those who don't want to read.
Yeah,
there are always those who prefer watching something than having to sit down and look at a page and flip through it. We have different ways of receiving and imbibing information.
Exactly.
But then also just seeing that an artistic person from another field of the arts takes your work and interprets it in a beautiful way, and it ends up on the screen.
Yes.
That too is also a good feeling.
Yes.
So how did that start?
Well, I would say it was not deliberate. I didn't go out to make it into a film. One of my friends who is a filmmaker and he's from Ireland, he's an Irish, was visiting Nigeria and then picked the book, read it and said, oh, well, this could make a very good film. And then I said, well, I don't know anything about filmmaking. If you want to go ahead, you go ahead. So Cash Hogan, that's his name, now decided to start. But along the line, he had to be recalled home to Ireland. And he said, well, I'm leaving. I don't know what you can do with this. So I tried to interest other filmmakers to continue where he left, but I couldn't.
And these are filmmakers in Nigeria?
Yeah, in Nigeria. But then something just came to my mind and I said, look, why don't you do this by yourself? So luckily at that time, there was this Nollywood fund being organized in Nigeria by the Bank of Industry, specifically to support the film industry. And then I applied for the loan. Initially it was a grant, but then because of the way it wasn't used properly, it was turned into a loan. I took the loan.
People are abusing the grants.
Exactly.
Africans are being Africans.
Exactly.
See, when we say it, they'll say that writers, we talk too much. Africans are being Africans. So the grant was no longer. And I mean, I'm sorry to dwell on this, but a lot. I mean, and of course, you've been in Ghana for some time as a Secretary General. Powerhouses here in Accra. That's the Pan African Writers Association House. And we've been talking a lot about grants for the creative arts and whatnot. So I think that this is an important point to make, that artists, as we are fighting for grants from our governments, from our sector ministry, don't misuse them if the opportunity comes. Because when you do, it kills opportunities for other people.
Right.
So now you are forced to take a loan.
A loan, yeah. And on top of the loan, for collateral, I had to also use my house as a collateral.
Your house?
And people were wondering that.
But how did your family take this?
Surprisingly, they were all in support. I thought they would scare, they would scream and say, oh, this man wants to kill us. The only people who were worried were my friends who say, oh, this is a big risk. Even some filmmakers were saying, well, I think we are going too far. I'm going too far by this year. Yeah, I'm married.
You have children. So how did your wife?
They were so.
You must have a very supportive family.
Exactly. They were. I mean, I was surprised myself.
It's good to marry the right person.
I mean, they were supportive, and so I had to put my house on for the loan, but it was a single-digit loan, and then with the guidance of the Bank of Industry, I was able to pick a good director. And then between the two of us, we were able to get the cast and then locations and all kind of things. And I must mention this, at the beginning of inception of shooting the film, I requested for the use of the Nigerian Parliament because I wanted it to be very authentic. Yeah. But somehow my request was turned down. They said for security reasons that they won't want people to be running around the Parliament shooting a film, dancing and all those stuff.
And that's also another African thing. If it were else, I mean, we've seen the White House, the Oval Office, number 10 Downing Street. We've seen all these places appear in films. And also licenses given to replicate the look and feel. But in Africa, a lot of the time,
because we think it's a monument. Your parliament is your monument. It should be depicted in stories, in films, and that kind of thing. So anyway, so we had to go to a small state of assembly to use that place for the shooting. And then, of course, we went on, did the shooting, and then I never knew that shooting is not the only, it's not the end of the story.
Doc, not to interrupt you, but we need to go for a break. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break right now. We are still watching Diplomatic License on City TV, and I'm speaking to Dr. Wale Okeridan. He is the Secretary General of the Pan African Writers Association. He's an astute writer, author, and if you didn't know until today, a former member of Parliament of the Green House in Nigeria. We'll be right back. Of course, this is still City TV, but it's also still Diplomatic License right here on City TV. And my name is Apioko, and I've been speaking to Dr. Wale Okeridan. He is the Secretary General of the Pan African Writers Association. He's a writer, he's an author, now a filmmaker too, and also very, very, very important to mention, since we often forget because of the creative side of him, he's a former member of Parliament of the Federal State of Nigeria, the Green House. Okay, so Doc, we were just before we went on the break, we were talking about how you got into the production of the film. What was initially just a book, Tenants of the House, a powerful book though, also now a film. Yes. You casted, you started preparing, you went for a loan, you know, your family, your wife, your children, they agreed for you to put your house up as collateral. But then there was production.
Yeah.
How did you maneuver that?
Yes, I thought all you need to do is just go to the shooting scene, finish the film, and then start selling it. I was waiting for money to start coming in until my director mentioned that we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We have to edit, we have to put music, we have to do color, we have to do so many things that got more money. Another 1 year before finally we were ready. And as we were ready, the COVID came, the pandemic came. Theaters were shut, there was no way I could show the film, and the loan interest was climbing.
Of course.
And panic was setting in. But then, here came Netflix, and I would say the rest
is history.
Is history.
I can appeal your intelligence and conscience in doing the right thing. You are a ship of potential. You should continue with peace. Please join me in moving our country forward to save our nascent democracy from this hungry and dirty past. Patriots, sometimes it pays to remember what brought us into politics in the first place.
Hatsabi babbu ne. Za maka iya ba a wajen fasa ka je a wajen fasa maka yankar rago.
Ba haka bane. Kar ka manta ni bana daga cikin su. Idan ka duba ni ba dan zikuri bane kuma ni ba dan na barka bane.
Ni Allah ya sani mutanen zukuri nake tausayawa tunda nan ne asalin mahaifiyata.
To ai kar ka manta ba wakilci ne ke na mahaifiyar mu ba, ina wakiltar gwamnatin tarayya ne.
Na ji.
Ni ba akwai da mako to kwai da ko na to yi ne to
You said that what is the function of your left leg toe?
I beg your pardon. It is my toe.
A video customer.
Oh, it will be the photo of what you call the man would be like. Number 40?
He said that they removed the toe. Can you be able to walk?
Yes, and so.
So, darling, you are down to our to look at good enough and me out and I'll go to on it.
Dadu. One.
Hakika na kewarsa. Kai kuma na gode maka.
Godiya kuma? Da aka yi
da ka kula da mama kai haƙuri da ƙudurin ka na shiga soja tun bayan rasuwan bawa ka kake kula da ita watakila inda abu kai haka ba da wannan gonar da nake takama da ita da babu ita da watakila bani da gidan da zan iya kawo ziyara saboda haka sadaukarwar da kai ba zan manta ta ba.
So, I mean, when we read about the release of the film, it was the June 2021 pops up a lot.
Yes.
That was released June 2021 in Nigeria.
Yes.
So, at least there was some filming in Nigeria.
Yes.
Was it well received?
Yeah, it was well received. Those who went to the cinema to see it. But you know, because of the scare of the pandemic, the attendance wasn't as expected. But it was those who saw it were happy with it, and they were spreading the information. And that was when I started feeling comfortable that it looks like
there's hope here.
There's hope that I will get some money back from this business. Yes.
Now, a few weeks ago, I mean, today we're talking today, this week.
Yes.
But I think it was 2 weeks ago or so, there was a launch.
Yes, November 22nd.
Yes, at the Goethe Institute here in Accra.
Yeah.
And it was riddled with diplomats.
Yes.
They were there. The creative community was there as well. Indeed, City TV diplomatic license, we were there too, and you can see the footage on your screens. But why did you choose to do a launch at the Goethe Institute in Accra? One. And why did you choose to invite the caliber of people that you did?
Yes. Yes, well, I just thought that Netflix coming out boldly on that day should be marked, because prior to that day there had been a lot of promotions all over the place, countdown to November 22nd. And I just said, well, let me celebrate it and relax with my friends. And Goethe Institute has always been a place of for writers and artists.
Of course.
And they are always welcome to see. Yeah, very supportive. And so that's why I decided to go. And then, of course, I invited a mixed breed of people, politicians, writers, and then, of course, the diplomats, who again have always been very supportive of what I'm doing. The Colombian High Commissioner was there.
He was also the dean.
Yes,
of the diplomatic
committee,
of course.
And then the Nigerian High Commissioner.
My mother and friend, Her Excellency Claudia Tubar Quintero.
The Nigerian High Commissioner was there. We had the U.S. ambassador, deputy High Commissioner from Germany and South Africa, and some of the UN organizations too.
And you were lucky. You know, for some time, the Nigerian High Commissioner has not had a substantive High Commissioner. You had the new High Commissioner. The new one,
yeah. He came.
He was
I think maybe one of his first official or social events.
Yes.
And he took over at the point to give the vote of thanks on behalf of.
I'm sure he was very proud.
Well, yes, he was. He was very. And funny enough, I discovered that the film also promoted the book.
Yes, of course.
I came with a few copies of the books, and they all sold out. And now I'm in the process of having to bring more books into Ghana for those who have been asking for. So that's one of the things that they usually say, the ripple effect of a good movie.
Absolutely.
That it also promotes the book.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And you know, there's been a lot of talk over the years about how movies never, especially for those of us who are avid readers.
Yes.
We always feel that movies that were born out of books never really quite capture the heart and soul of the book. But in this case, it's different. I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if what I read was wrong,
yes.
You produced the movie.
Yes, I'm the executive producer.
Yes. And so you were very much involved.
Yeah, I was involved.
What did you have any creative clashes? I mean, not to carry us back, but any creative clashes with the directors or anybody, you know?
Not really.
Okay.
I gave the director a full hand.
Okay.
And I gave him a free hand.
Okay.
And he did very well. I agree with most of his adaptations.
Okay.
Maybe except one or two scenes.
Always. There'll always be that.
One or two scenes. Well, but I think apart from that, I didn't. But I gave him a free hand because for two reasons. I always appreciate professionalism. I appreciate professionalism. I also appreciate the fact that in the entertainment industry, people have special skills.
Of course.
When I'm writing, I always appreciate my editors and publishers. So on this occasion, I had to appreciate what the director was doing.
wato saboda ta sace min zuciyarta.
Kai Kirista ne ko ba haka bane?
Haka ne. To ma baba, misali idan za a bani aurenta, in so ta, in karrama ta, in daraja ta fiye da dukkan wata mace, in ba ta haƙƙinta na ya mace, sannan in ba ta dama ta yi addinin musuluncinta. Ai sai nake ganin ba za a samu wata matsala da ni ba, saboda na kasance mai Kirista.
To, zan yi magana da iyayen gida da gida da. Insha Allah. Na don kafin ka aikata wani abu, kar ka manta ni dan majalisa.
Ba kwa faɗa a majalisa? Ba kwa naushe-naushe? Ko ba mu ji labari ba?
Kasan kai da mutum ne wanda za mu zama mu tattauna.
Ba za a yi maganan ba. Ba za a yi maganan ba. Iya ba.
I'm sorry. But who am I to know she's Hausa?
I'm not Hausa. I'm Ghanaian.
You lazy Ghanaian? How come I never knew all this? How did you pass the selection into the house if you are a foreigner?
Well, I'm Ghanaian from my mother's side and Nigerian from my father's. Oh my.
Sanu, Mama. Sanu. Yeah. Sanu. Sanu. Aku nak kau minta. Ya. Sanu. Sanu. Agak lo. Sanu. Ya sanu. I didn't know you were coming.
Neither did I. I was just informed.
All the same, it's a delight to have you here. Anyway, I'll see you shortly. Everyone will have to go back and put what we agreed into practice, backed by the government.
Then I'm happy.
Are you traveling now?
No, I'm staying for a few days with my elder sister here in Abuja.
Oh, that's fortunate. I hope your sister won't mind me calling you.
I will inform her.
Okay, I'll give you a call when I'm through.
And indeed, not everything that is written is meant for
Exactly,
performance,
exactly.
including performance on the screen.
Exactly.
I think as a writer,
Yes.
and yeah, there's a reason why you're the Secretary General of the Pan-African Association of Writers. You understand,
Yes.
right? You understand that.
Very good, yeah.
So, Doc, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
First of all, do you have any books that we should be looking forward to? We want to read more from you.
Yeah, yes, I just finished another factional account of the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria.
Sorry.
Oh, this is, many of you have been following this issue. These are the religious fanatics
Yes.
who have been fighting in the northeast part of Nigeria.
Another very heavy
Yes,
subject.
I did a research there. I was able to do some research in that area. And then I just brought out the book. It's still coming out gradually, and I hope that in the next few months it will become something that will be widespread. But more importantly is that another of my books, we are looking at it to be adapted into a movie.
Okay.
Yes, but nothing much has been done on that. Okay. When the time comes,
it will happen. It will happen.
Diplomatic license will be the first to know.
It will happen. So now the bug has bitten you.
Yes.
Once you've bitten the apple, the bug has bitten you. You must finish the apple, or you must allow the bug to fester into your blood, and that's what you've done. But Doc, just very finally, you've done so many things in your life. I mean, on another day, we'll sit down with you and spend 2 hours and really talk. But you've done so many things. We've seen you, at least a little bit of you as a politician today. We know the writer, we know the author, we know the filmmaker, the all-round creative. We know the researcher, because you're not just writing, or you've not just made a film. You've put a lot of research into what you do.
Yes.
You've just spoken about Boko Haram and what you are writing about that, what you've seen happen in Nigeria with this religious fanaticism.
Yes.
And you just mentioned that you did research.
Yes.
You're going into the communities of people, learning the culture so that you can bring a true representation to your art.
Yes.
And indeed, you're a family man.
Yes.
But a lot of people feel they are too busy to write the stories that are in their hearts, to write the stories that are in their bellies. What would you say to people who want to write, who have stories to tell, be it fiction, faction, poetry, a short story, a play?
Yes.
What would you say to people who feel that their hands are too full?
Yes, I believe everybody has a book in him or her. And I just believe that starting is the main problem. Once you can start, then the rest will be easy. Because many from our different backgrounds, you can have stories. In our professions, you can have stories. From our day-to-day activities, you can have stories. So I think the important thing is for people to understand. And then, of course, you know that I'm a medical doctor by training.
Of course.
So if I can write, then anybody can write. So all you need is to start. And then when you start, it's always nice to also look for people to assist you. Right. There are people who are ready to help, who want to edit your work for you, who wants to help you do some proofreading job. Because writing, book industry, and all that goes into it is a very massive industry made up of so many people. So people should not be afraid. Just don't be afraid of what your first draft may be bad, but just write it and then show it to somebody who can help you to edit. And then from there, but the important thing is that listen to advice. Writers have a very large ego. When they write something, they don't want anybody to touch it.
Do.
But so I think starting is the main issue. It's possible.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wale Okeridan. And you've been a huge inspiration to so many, indeed to me as well. And now, being an adult writer myself, having you in Ghana, having you head an association that is very dear to my heart, not just because it was very closely associated with the late Professor Atupeokan, who was a mentor and a teacher, but also just because you brought a lot of prestige to the association. And the fact that you're from Nigeria has also linked a lot of our Nigerian brothers and sisters and other members of the sub-region and beyond to the association. So I can be truly Pan-African. Yes. Thank you so much. And like I said, it's a promise. I hope you accept it and agree that one of these days we'll sit down for a longer conversation and really, really, really dig deep into the rich life of inspiration that you have.
I appreciate it. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get any better than this. And make sure you watch and read Tenants of the House. We'll be right back.
The movie definitely gives a very good view of the intricate web of different discussions and plots and many things that go on in the parliament, the Nigerian parliament. You could see it ranges from the issues of money, it ranges into issues of romance and sex, even amongst the parliamentarians, among the delegates, and also it also lets us know the fact that no matter what happens, you have patriots among them. And particularly, one major lesson that I take away from it is the fact that even though you might have people who are having problems among themselves, just one of them can actually be a catalyst of peace, which is what we saw happen. Then there is also the major issue which has to do with girls' education. That particularly touched my heart, that you can actually get it to happen in a situation whereby under normal circumstances wouldn't have happened. So I took a lot of lesson away from that. And for the fact that this particular movie made it to Netflix, it's a thing of joy for me, and I could see that if we have such things as this, it exposes us to what the real world, what is happening in the real world. Because this movie is not pretentious in any way. It says the story exactly the way it is. So it enables the whole world to see what. And for me, the movie industry, once these are started this way, we'll see quite a number of other movies making it to Netflix, and then the fame that Nollywood already has will continue to improve, and I'm very, very happy about that.
We have great authors. We have great authors that have written books that are internationally acclaimed. But we have a dying culture of readers in Africa and in Nigeria in particular. And on the other hand, we have a growing populace of young youths who are watching movies, and who are. We have about 30 million Nigerian subscribers to Netflix. So I believe that's another medium from where most of the very useful movies and cultures can have been imbibed. The particular film we just watched here is a typical one. It will be recalled that book has been in the market for over 9 years. I doubt if many Nigerians have been able to read. Let's try a review of the book in another 1 year or 2 years, and you'll be surprised how many Nigerians would have watched the movie. But the beautiful thing is the message that the movie is selling, the political as well as the cultural issues that were raised in the book. I think if one combines reading the book and the movie, it will really go a long way in selling the good things that we have around.
The issue is that some of the people defend the right of the women to have education, and one of the parliamentaries really felt in love with that lady and that girl that couldn't have the opportunity to study, even though he understood his intelligence, and he tried to convince the family and the chiefs and the parents so that he could marry her to be able to give her that opportunity. He found every opposition to do it through his personal love, so he decided to convince and to let his opponent in the love of the girl to let him sacrifice himself in order to give her that opportunity. And at the end, that sacrifice meant the death of that love. But the girl was able to succeed. So this is like the expression of the real fight of the different cultures still in some of the African countries, and it is to give the right to the women to be educated and to participate in the development of their societies, but that sometimes even without education they are so outstanding that it is not fair to not to open that way and that capacity to them. This is what I received today. I received the impact of love and the capacity of sacrificing yourself when you had a conviction.
Enjoyed. I really had a good time watching this movie, and it was a surprise for me because I didn't know the book. I didn't read the book before, so I discovered the book through the movie, and it was a real surprise. It was a real surprise, and a good journey through Africa. I will say West Africa, Nigeria, and through the different cultures. And it was all the more interesting and surprising for me since I'm native from Niger, which is bordering with Nigeria, and I'm a Fulani, and I speak Hausa. So I really felt very comfortable following the movie. I was glad to hear the actor speaking in Hausa and Fulani, and see the tradition and the culture being displayed and showed. It's great that the movie is on this platform. We know that Netflix is one of the most visited and influencing platform on movies. So it's quite an achievement to be there. So and it will enable a lot of Nigerian, Ghanaian, West African, African from the diaspora to be able to see this movie. So it's a good thing, and we hope that actually there will be other platforms in Africa also, such as Netflix. And just by the way, UNESCO and Netflix, we are partnering to promote movies in Africa, and last month we launched actually a competition for young filmmakers. It was a Netflix UNESCO initiative.
Writing a book or making a movie is like being pregnant. You carry the pregnancy for 9 months. In the matter of writing a book, the pregnancy can be for 3 years. In this case of the film, the pregnancy was 4 years pregnancy, and today I'm like a woman that had just delivered. I'm happy. Actually, when I saw my friend, the security man, he was laughing on his seat there. And I said, well, if I could reach him, I think I've done very well. It's for everybody. And I also want to say that I did it because I produced this film for many reasons. Number one, to push my book into the film scene, film platform, and also to encourage other writers, because all over the world we know that good films come from good books. In Africa, we have this bad habit of just using any script we can lay our hands on. Any script we find on the road, we just pick it and then use it for a film. But these days, many film producers are looking for rich contents, and that is why they are looking for books that have been published, that have been maybe have won awards, that are well scripted, and they make very powerful films. The other reason why I did it is also to show that in Africa we have a lot of stories to tell, and I'm happy this has ended this way. I have a couple of books that have been published. Actually, as of today, I've published 14 novels, and I have 2 collections of travel stories. I'm looking at 2 of the books that probably I will also adapt once I get over this one that I just come out. I will probably take one of the other books and then adapt them into a film.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fascinating time here at the Parliament House in Accra. This space usually belongs to Duke Mensah Opoku, our parliamentary correspondent at City TV and City FM. But today, I took it over with Dr. Wale Okeridan, who is, of course, the Secretary General of the Pan-African Writers Association. He's a former member of Parliament, of the Greenhouse to be specific, of the Nigerian Federation, the Federal States of Nigeria. And of course, a writer and author, a seasoned one at that, and now a filmmaker. Tenants of the House, his book, has been made into a film which is making waves on Netflix here in Ghana, in Nigeria, and beyond. Do stay tuned for our other programming here on City TV, and I will catch you next week right here on Diplomatic License. So much more to come, and we have the conversations that you need a diplomatic license to gain access to.